Well, hello there, Calligraphy friends. Erin here. Um, of Nielsen Letters Calligraphy, based in Montreal. Um, yeah, I am ready to go for lesson number 2 today. Um, we are going to be doing copperplate calligraphy. Um, yeah, I'm also gonna do a little bit of housekeeping before we start on anything. Last one I did a few days ago, I was having a little trouble with my audio. So I fiddled around with a couple of my noise filters. So let me know if I cut out, if you don't mind. That would be amazing. Um, or if I'm peaking or something like that, it should be okay. I can see my thing going up and down, and it looks okay. But yeah, there is, for anyone who's not used Twitch before, there should be a chat. I don't remember if you need to be signed in to be able to chat, but if not, then you can ask me questions. If so, it's free to join. No big deal. Okay, cool. So, if this is your first time here, hi, welcome. If you were here last time, you know the deal. I'm just here. I'm doing like an actual workshop for calligraphy, trying to teach a little bit of copperplate, make it a little more accessible to people. And then once this stream is over for this lesson 2, I'm going to be re-uploading it to YouTube. So anyone who can't make it or uh, falls asleep because of the time, someone told me this morning that they fell asleep during the other one because they are based in Germany, and it was like 1 in the morning for them. So um, I appreciate that my voice was so soothing that it put them to bed, which made me laugh. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna swap to my multiple camera setting, so you'll see me up top left, and then below that bottom left, you're gonna see my hands. You'll be happy to know I did moisturize today. The last time I didn't, and with all the zooming in on the close-ups of my fingers, I was a little self-conscious, I'm not gonna lie. So I moisturized today. Hopefully it's a little less embarrassing for me this time. Perfect. So yeah, the bottom left camera here is so you can I'll it's just my garbage webcam that's just down here, and I'll be able to swap this around. So when I'm holding a pen, you'll be able to see the angle and my grip a little bit better versus just the top down view, which is the main view right here. So the first thing we'll start with is I'm gonna go through just a very quickaroo overview from last week. And if anyone, oh yeah, also if anyone is didn't already get my worksheets, my workbook that I made, it is I put it in my shop on my website. It just is a free download. Just so you can go access it if you'd like. So, super brief overview. We went over the essential tools, which I've mentioned in the workbook. Uh, we went over doing warm up exercises. So, these guys, there's a little exemplar right here as well that is in the workbook. And then we did the basic strokes. So I just printed this one out so you guys can just to see, just so we have that as a little bit of a brief overview again of what we did last time. So entry strokes, downstrokes, underturn, the descender loop, the overturn, the ascender loop, the compound curve, and the delightful oval. So yeah, like that, it's basically what we did last time. Going over the tools always takes a long time as well because everyone is like gets excited about tools, which I also understand. I have a silly collection of tools all over the place. Um, so I'm the first thing we're gonna do. We're gonna go over. We're gonna do some mindful practice. Because remember I had said last time I need to be better with practicing and doing my my warm up drills and exercises, and be better with that. Whenever I start. So I was actually doing some calligraphy this afternoon just to prep for today or this evening. Um, And it felt nice to do a little bit of warm-ups, and I'm going to do a little warm-ups with you guys now, which is going to be fun. I'm also going to tell you exactly the tools I'm going to be using today, so you don't have to get your whole kit and caboodle with you. So I'm going to be using the same kind of concept I did last time of, whoop, I have a mic. I have to remember that it exists so I don't smack it. Just like a pen, just so the color is contrasty when I am showing you guys something on something that is lined. It's a micron pen. This one in particular is pink, which is fun. I have water and a push thing, so that's fun. I got some paper towel that I clearly already used this afternoon. I have this old jam jar of walnut ink that I will be using for our work today. I'll be using my Zebra G nib. And I'll be using my favorite oblique holder. If you want to use your favorite oblique holder, go ahead. If you want to use a straight holder, that's all fine too, as long as you can do the angles. I'm not going to tell you what to use for that one. And I have a pencil. So we're going to start. Oh, and one extra thing, which I didn't mention in my essentials because it's not really essential, but because I moisturize, like I mentioned, I will be using one of these little half gloves just for my hand. And this is because, first of all, it makes me look very professional. And second of all, because my hands, normally your hands have a bit of natural oil on them anyways, but especially because I just moisturize, there's going to be extra schmutz on the heel of my hand. So that can be sometimes an issue when writing on paper because you're going to be depositing the oil on there. So then if you're like writing with ink and then you go down the page, all of a sudden your page is going to be kind of like oily. You might not see it with your naked eye, but it's going to be hard for you to write over that with ink. So let's just go over a little bit of the warm-up exercises before we start and do anything, because I think it's important to get into the habit of doing those, and especially if you've not been here before, to see what that looks like. So like I had mentioned last time, when we go up and away from us, there's light, and we're down towards us, then there's going to be pressure. So we're going to go clockwise. We're going to remember that we're not looking for perfection, okay? We're just warming ourselves up. Also, I'm going to change my posture. I'm sitting on the edge of my chair. My feet are flat on the ground. The paper is, you can kind of see, it's at an angle towards me, just so I have it. If you're a lefty, I'm trying to think how that would be, because I didn't think about that last time. If you're a lefty, I know some lefties where they have the page, I think, fully towards them as they're writing. I think. If there's a lefty who's watching, let me know how you guys do that. I've seen that. I don't know if everyone does it like fully, like you're writing almost upside down, which is a very impressive skill. Very, very impressive. Okay, perfect. Let's continue with these. So we're going for clockwise ovals. Again, we're not looking for perfection. We're just trying to get the memory into our hand of light pressure up and dark, harder pressure down and towards us. Okay, now we're going to go counterclockwise. So towards us is pressure, then light pressure, light pressure, light pressure. And like I had mentioned as well, I think that's important before any type of work. Spend like 5 minutes doing this, not long, Doesn't need to be crazy. If you want to go more than 5 minutes, if you want to spend 30 doing something like this, that's also perfectly fine. Um, but just so you get in the habit. I would also like to point out that I'm not gripping very hard. Ah, you're a lefty, and that is how you write. Oh, so you do it like the upside down. Perfect. I don't know how you guys do it. It's quite impressive. Um, so I would like to put um, attention to the fact that I'm not gripping my pencil very hard. I'm lightly holding it. I'm I'm really just only doing what I need to make sure that the marks are on the page. So counterclockwise, pressure, release. Doing some warm ups that way. A little off the camera. I can actually zoom this out. You don't need to see super close in there. Okay. Now we're going to do our infinity loop. You can do it up and down, or you can do it sideways, like at an angle as well. I think I'm going to do it up and down, just to change it up a little. So the same concept though, down, pressure, when you're going up and away, light pressure. So you're looking for the dark and light, you're looking for the contrast. So down. With the infinity loops, if you want to try and be a bit more precise, you can. And by be more precise, I mean maybe trying to get these all to be the same size, and maybe you know equidistant apart. If you want to do it like that as well, you can. Also, I will ask if anyone who's in here right now have any questions from last time too. While we're doing this, I can maybe answer some. Or did you do any work in between? Anything like that? I'm also curious what you guys are doing. Any projects going on? Okay, and now we're going to do the cone. So same basic concept, smaller to bigger, and then bigger to smaller. Last time I did just ovals. This time I will do figure eights because I can. If at any point you guys want to do these with your pen as well, also totally fine. It does help with your pen control as well doing these. Right now I'm just doing with a pencil just because it was closest at hand. And I like working with a pencil. It's a delightful tool. But actually, you know what? I'm going to just go over my pencil stuff. I'm going to go in with a pen. So, which will also give me the opportunity to remind how to put the nib in, or where the placement of the nib should be. So the placement of the nib should be to the point here, here, should be aligned with the center of your pen holder. If you can see that. That's what we're aiming for. Now, because my hands are oily, me touching this is going to be hard to use. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water on my paper towel that I've already used today. No use in wasting it. And I'm just gonna clean it off, even though it looks clean, just to clean off any of the oils from my hands that are on there. There we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, and like I had mentioned, this is just walnut ink that I made from walnut crystals and some distilled water. So you can see the well, that like oval circle thing in the middle, is full now. So that's how you know that that's full. I actually probably dipped it a little bit too high because it's like almost at the flange. But c'est la vie. It is what it is. Okay, let's zoom in a little. This is a little more interesting than just a pencil, so maybe it's a bit more interesting to look at. I almost automatically want to go slower when I'm using pen and ink. It's very soothing. It's very meditative. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do. Let me do the infinity loop, and then actually, you know what? I can just use this guy, which is my other one that looks kind of like a pizza, which is also in the workbook. So let me do. Let me move this a little bit easier. It's also very normal when doing exercises like this because you're working very big for you to run out of ink in your nib pretty quickly because you're depositing a lot of ink at once, much more than you would if you're just writing kind of smallish. And let me go this way. But yeah, like I said, I with the pen and the ink, I almost with a pencil I don't have to worry so much. I just kind of like go quickly and like just kind of get the motion. But when it comes to doing the warm-ups with the actual pen and ink, I I fall into a better rhythm. And if also if anyone celebrates Christmas out there, that and that are both Christmas trees. Delightful for card designs, FYI. If you just look at the triangle there, very easy to make these into Christmas trees. Okay, let's go this way, just to be a bit more unusual. Let's do this odd direction. Always paying attention, by the way, to the pressure and the release. There we go. So yeah, that's just a bit of warming up. Always nice. So we have my mostly pencil, kind of messy, to some ink and still kind of messy. But again, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for fun. Right. Does anyone have? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Gregor's. It is a good extra little bonus tip. If anyone like, the reason I also very specifically know this is because I make Christmas cards with the infinity symbol when I got them printed letterpress, and they look delightful. Big fan of them. Does anyone have any questions so far? How are we doing? Are we warmed up? Are we feeling good? Um, if, by the way, if at all at any point in time you feel like you're cramping a little in your hand because it's like holding on to a pen pen holder in that angle and stuff can be a little weird. Uh, I um, I recommend this type of exercise. Let me see if I can. Okay, arm out and like pulling back. I am also weirdly flexible. Okay, with my joints and stuff. So if you can't bend your wrist back this far, it's fine. You're probably a bit more normal than I am. But I pull this back because you're going to get a good stretch in your forearm. So I recommend just doing, a couple of these. Making sure, doing a couple of shoulder rotations because it's very easy to forget, and then you kind of just get into a rhythm, and then you're like, oh, what's happening here? You're getting a little sore, getting a little uncomfortable. Okay. So I had mentioned, like I said last time, we did the basic strokes, and today we're doing the letter group 1. So you might be wondering, I'm not exactly sure the level of everyone in here. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that no one knows anything, which is fine, because if you know something, you're like, yes, I know this already. And if not, then this is great and wonderful new information for you. So you might be wondering, why are we not going in alphabetical order? And there's a very good reason for that. The splitting them into letter groups versus going into doing them A to Z, just splitting it into today we're doing A to F and then G to, whatever. Doing it in this way is because the letter group 1 use, excuse me, from the basic strokes, there's the simpler ones to do. So an entry stroke, an underturn, an entry stroke, another underturn, entry stroke, descender loop. Like we're doing it in once you've practiced the basic strokes, we're doing the simplest ones to put together first. So it just is a little easier for you to remember them, get them into your hand. Because if you're going you're doing an entry stroke, an oval, an underturn to an ascender loop down to kind of an underturn, then a filled in loop, like it becomes harder for you to remember and learn. So it's split into this way to make it easier for you to master something or at least become comfortable with something before moving on. I did not come up with this. In case anyone was wondering, no one's probably wondering this, but I did not come up with the splitting of the letter groups in any way, shape, or form. This is just a very common way to teach this. So I will do the same thing I think I did last time, and I'll start first with the marker, and I'll go through them all so you can really see what it looks like, and then I'll go back in with pen and ink. I think that sounds fine. I will, however, close my ink up because I know me, and I will end up with it spilled all over my desk. And I have a new desk pad that's like a very nice cream color, and it will ruin it. So let me close all my liquids and get them out of my clumsy hand reach area. Perfect. So like I said, we're going to start with letter. Let me zoom in. No, in. There we go. Okay. So letter group 1. Letter group 1 consists of I, T, J, A, D, G, N, M, U, and Y. Look at my terrible regular handwriting. Isn't it awful? How fun. Okay. And then we're going to start. So, like I said, so if you can see that again. So it's I, T, J, A, D, G, N, M, U, Y. Letter group 1, the simple letters. And we're going to start with I. So if we remember from our 8 basic strokes. Actually, you know what? Let me write the 8 basic strokes really quickly up here so we also remember those. So entry, downstroke, overturn, underturn, ascender loop, descender loop, compound curve, which I'm not the best at, and then oval. So these are the 8 basic ones, okay? Just as a little refresher, a little reminder. So then we're going to do the first one, which is the letter I. So you're going to see this is very familiar. We're going to do an entry stroke. And then we're going to do an underturn. As a reminder, this is the X height right here. And the guide sheet I'm using right now is a 6mm one. So which means this is 6mm, this is 9mm, and this is 9mm here. And this is the baseline, the waistline, ascender line, descender line. So we're going from the baseline up to the waistline, and then we're doing pressure down from the waistline, coming down and curving back up again. And we're trying to make the thick line here. We're trying to make it a line. The goal is to make, you're going up, down, and then away again. The goal is to make this line here parallel with the lines I have here that are dotted, that are at 55 degrees. This is what we're going for. This is the goal. So the I is entry stroke, underturn, back up into basically an entry stroke, to be honest. So we're looking at to make these 2 lines. We're looking to make these 2 lines parallel, both entry strokes to be parallel, and then this one to be parallel to the 55. This is a bit nitty gritty. This is a little bit more specific than probably like a beginner one should be. But like if you're looking for how to correct your work, this is a good way to trick your eye into seeing that. So entry stroke, underturn, then away. And then I like to put the dot. There's a couple of ways to do the dot. You can do an actual dot where you make a dot. The dot itself shouldn't be thicker. Let's say the width was like this. The width like this is a bit more accurate for how it would be with a pointed pen. The width here and the width of the dot on the top should be the same. We're looking for consistency. So don't go, we're not looking for one of these or just a little boop. You want to have it look like it exists, but don't go crazy. It's just like we're looking, you also don't have to bring out a ruler. You're just looking for consistency so that the dot is about the same width as the downstroke. That's here, if that makes sense. So we'll do that one more time. Up, down, and then away. And then the little dot on the top. I usually put it, I guess this would be like a third. It's not quite half. I find, honestly, it's up to you where you want to put it, but I personally prefer it here, not halfway. Halfway up feels too high. It feels like there's just too much space going on if you put it like up here. So I like to put it about a third of the way up between in this ascender height area. Is everyone good with that? Because then I can move on to the T. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please don't be shy. So now we're going to do the T. So which is, you're going to recognize it. It's very similar to the eye. Again, this is why we like letter groups. So we're going, let me make it here, entry stroke. We're going to do the underturn. It does, so the underturn, this is where a lot of people will want to do this, because you're like, oh, I need to hit the ace underline. I like to do it right at about the halfway mark. It should be like that. And then I would cross the T about where, if I were dotting an I, where that I, the dot of the I would be, more or less. This is the goal. Okay, so we're doing an entry stroke. We're doing the underturn from the middle between the ascender and the waistline. It's about in the middle here. And then we're crossing the T, not here. We're not doing that. We're crossing the T right there, a bit above. Another fun way to think about where the entry stroke should be. So actually, my entry strokes have been a little low. They should be going up. They should be going up to the waistline up here and curving up. So when this pulls down, we're not stabbing the line. This is that, not good. You want it leaning up against the downstroke. You want it leaning up. You don't. I had mentioned this last time, but I heard this somewhere of. I wish I could give credit to where I had heard this from, but you think about this kind of curve here, like the oval. Think of this like a balloon, and so when your entry stroke comes in, you're trying to not pop the balloon. You're trying to lean up nicely next to the balloon, so that this part doesn't pop. We're looking for a lean, not an arrow going through it. So let me do that one more time with the marker. So entry stroke, underturn away, cross the T. If no one has any questions for the T, we can move on to the J. So the J is, well, we all know what a J is. Entry. And at the waistline, we're starting up here. We're going to pull that down below the baseline and then come up again. So let me do that one more time so I can point out a few things. No, not like that. Nope. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I still didn't do it the right angle, but okay. So the thing that I was trying to do was, when I'm crossing, I'm not crossing exactly here. I'm crossing a little bit below. Just like a hair. It's hard to do it with the marker because this is a bit thicker than what a nib would be. But I'm going entry, stroke up to the waistline. Waistline, we're crossing the baseline, going all the way down, starting to curve, bringing that back up, and then over. So the cross here is just like a hair's breadth underneath the baseline. I find it looks nicer like this. It's a very subtle thing, but I don't love crossing it here. I find it makes it too busy when you have a lot of stuff happening around, like right there. So, and then I'm gonna dot it right where, if I were dotting an I or crossing a T, that's about the height more or less that I would be looking at. Something to look for. Okay, first of all, my angle's off. I'm not quite at 55. I'm a little bit crooked here. So imagine this was at 55. Let's use our imaginations and imagine I did this at the 55. It's close, but it's not quite. Um, but something to look at when you're critiquing your own work is that we're looking to see that the entry and then the exit stroke, that these are parallel to each other. Okay. That's what we're looking for. And then something that I like to look for the width of the loop for this guy. I like to try and make this loop, if I'm trying to be very more classical, more consistent, and not add any fluff or flourishes. If anyone's ever seen my work on Instagram, you know I like to add a nice little flourish somewhere. I like hairlines all over the place. But you know, if I need to be more conservative with my loops, what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the width of this guy the same as where, if like this starts to hits here, like this and this are going to be about the same, like width here. Visually, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm trying to look at. Because then if you're doing that with all of your ascender and descender loops all over the place, they're always the same size, it's going to look very visually pleasing, versus having some that might, let's see, like this. I find like it looks weak, I guess. And then this one, it's like it's just too much, right? Because we're bumping it way out. And then this one just looks kind of meh. I don't know how else to describe it. Whereas this looks like strong, confident. This is what we're aiming for. It's about the same width here as it was from here. This is a no, and this is a no. Let's see if I can make a good one. Pressure's on. Nope, nope. It would be like this. Oh, ignore this guy. This is kind of what I would be looking for. So not this one, not this one, definitely not this one, the scribble mess. I'm looking for more something like this. And then, of course, we can't forget to dot it right on the top. Does anyone have any questions about that one? Comments? Are we just scribbling away? Falling asleep to my voice? If anyone's here from Germany. Just snoozing and listening to me. Okay, so we're going to look at the letter A. So the A is an entry stroke, an oval, and then an underturn. I went over there, and that's not good. So there we go. Better. So this is, sorry, the reason I'm looking and I'm pausing is because I'm kind of critiquing my work as we go along. So entry stroke, leaning up against, not stabbing, leaning up against the balloon of the A here, this oval. I started from up here. I pulled it down. I went up and around, and then I met it back at itself on the top. Then I moved over a little, and then I did an underturn. So a couple of things that we're looking for. Let me swap colors for a sec. I hope you can see the purple. So 2 things we're looking for is that here to here and here to here are the same. But then something that is not the same on this one, and it should be, is this space and this space should be the same. These 2 little triangles here. It's not, because I didn't start curving back out here soon enough to make this triangle bigger. Does that make any sense? Let me see if I can do that again. Let's see if I can make it better. So I got the triangle, but I went a little too far out. I had to connect it by cheating. I cheated by just adding that little connecting dot. So entry stroke, look, put in the middle. Entry stroke, oval, underturn. We're working within the waistline and the baseline. This and this should be equal, more or less. And then this triangle here and the triangle. If I say counter space, does that if anyone knows what that is? This is what I'm looking at. I'm looking for the spaces in the empty parts. So that and that should be the same. This is what's going to give you the consistency when you're writing, is if you can make the counter spaces in between your entry strokes and where the letter meets the baseline. If you can make that consistent, these little triangles that I'm like coloring in here are all going to be the same size, which means your work is going to look very even and consistent all the way through. You can also obviously see that like I'm not perfect at this either. I'm always trying to look and critique my work as I go. I also don't try and give myself too hard of a time. I mean, it is just, it's marker and paper. It is what it is. You know, I can always toss this out. I can recycle it and just print a new one. Not a big deal. Okay, so then we're going to go up, oval, so not too bad. Not terrible, not great. It just is. It's going to be easier when I do it with my pointed pen versus a marker, but I think you guys can see what I'm talking about. I will move on to the D. That's what she said. Sorry. I'm like a 2-year-old. All right. So the letter D, it's basically an A, okay, with the underturn being taller. So entry stroke, oval. I know that feels like it maybe you should start from up here, but like the T, if this is up here, this looks wildly humongous comparatively. Like don't go up here. We're going here. Sorry, up, oval. So we're aiming kind of like the T. For me, I'm looking at about half between in the ascender space here. We're looking at about halfway. That's what we're trying to aim. And then I should have done it like this. See, because now this is going to be even. Yeah. Up, down here. There. So the counter space here, even. Entry, oval, underturn. That should be higher. It's hard doing this while I'm staring at it on my screen. I'm not gonna lie. Imagine this is straight. But yeah, entry stroke, oval, underturn, but starting the underturn at about halfway in this ascender height, bringing it down, curving it back away from you. How we doing, guys? Still awake over there? Because we're moving on to the G. So the G is entry stroke, oval. We're doing the same thing like we did with the J. We do the descender loop, and we're going to turn it up, and I am trying to make the loop here the same width as my oval here. This is what I'm aiming for. I'm looking to see that my entry stroke and my exit stroke here are about parallel to each other. And I'm looking for the cross here to be just below the baseline. This is the goal. In an idealized world, this is for me what I'm looking for. I also will start, so the turning on this one, I found I started turning a little late. You can see that the weight is still hanging out down here. I started lifting a little easier here. Again, this is going to be easier for me to point out when I swap to my pen versus just marker. I can be a bit more precise, but this side, there's a nicer contrast with the color on this one, so it's a little easier to see. All right, so that is the G. I'm just going to move over here to do the N. Yeah, so right now we're going to go to the N. We have 4 more left with marker, and then I'll swap back. So we have N, which is not an entry stroke. This is not how we're starting the N. We are doing an overturn. An overturn first. In the X height. So up and down, up to the waistline, down to the baseline. So there's a couple of ways. How do I put this? There's a couple of ways that people do an N. This is the way that I do it, but there's other ways that multiple people do. If anyone knows Sarah's script, she does it a little bit differently than I do. And she actually has a book published. So, she probably knows more than I do. I like this particular one as well. But there's lots of different variations of how to do all these letters all over the place. So you can small tangent before we do the N, actually, as it's just sitting here partially finished. I really want to emphasize the fact that not all teachers know all the things all the time. You can pull from a lot of different people to kind of push them all into your own work. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is like my way of uniquely doing this writing. I have taken, so many classes, and not just of copperplate, of Spencerian. I've done some Romans. I've done some italic. I've done some more like abstract work when it comes to letters. So because I've done all those things, I'm able to pull from a lot of different people and references, just hang it in my brain. And like I'll steal things that I like and I just push them into my own work because I like them. And I feel like it makes it a bit more signature me. So if you find that any of the letters that I'm doing you don't necessarily like the look of, or you've seen something different from someone else, totally possible, totally 100%, probably. And that's okay. If you prefer like the way that someone else does their N, you can just be like, I don't like Aaron's. I'm going to take from Sarah, for example, who grabbed it probably from an incredibly accurate exemplar instead of going from her memory. Because she's the best and very sweet. Yeah, that's my little tangent on that. So let me start the N properly again. So overturn, down. And then I like to start mine down here as a hairline up and then down into a compound curve. This is how I like mine to look. So what we're looking for is space here to here is the same. Space here to here is the same, which is then the same here, here, and here are all the same width. That's the goal. This is hard. Compound curves are difficult. 100%. So if anyone's following along and is having a hard time with this guy, yeah, there's a reason why minimum is a hard word to write. It's a difficult one. So up, down. So what it shouldn't look like is this. It shouldn't look like this. It shouldn't look like this. Remember that we're always looking for the down part to be parallel to the 55. This is what this is for, which means that when we do our compound curve, oh, that one was not a good one. Let's do that at a proper speed, Erin. So in this compound curve, when you're doing it, keep in mind that this darker line here, this downstroke, is at the 55-degree line. And this is even, and this is even, and this is even. No, it wouldn't be equidistant. It would be at the width of them is the same. So now we're going to do the letter M, which is the letter N with one more overturn. So we're doing overturn, overturn, compound curve. Overturn, overturn, compound curve. So what we're aiming for is here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here. We're looking for all of these to be the same width. And if, like I showed you guys before, anytime you see these triangles, all these triangles should be also the same size. This is those, the counter spaces should be all the same in there. So you're not just looking at where the line is, you're looking for where the line is not. Does anyone have any questions for that one? Because we're zooming through, we're going to the U. So the U is an entry stroke. Oops, entry stroke. Underturn. Underturn. Entry stroke. Oops. And there we go. The entry stroke. Underturn. Underturn. So we're looking for here to here, here to here to be the same. We're looking for these two little triangles to be the same size. And now we'll go right to the Y. So the Y is going to be a compound curve. So it's kind of like the entry, we're going down, exit. From up here, we're pressing and we're doing the descender loop. I almost never do my Ys this way because I took a class with a delightful woman in person when I was just first learning calligraphy from a woman named Rachel Yallop. She is based in the UK and she is a delight. I was so happy I was able to take a class with her in person. She does not believe in squared off tops for copperplate. She calls it yellow plate. If anyone looks it up or looks up Rachel Yallop, she's basically just like her version of copperplate, squared off tops. She doesn't want to hear about them. I love for Y's and G's I've fully stolen her technique for them because I like the way that it looks. I think it gives a little bit something interesting, especially if the Y or the G is at the end of a word. So I'll just show you what I do, and you can see it in any of my work. It's all over the place. I like doing this. I think it's fun. It gives a little more personality to it. But I'm so used to doing it like this. I have a hard time remembering how to do this one properly. So if you see me really struggling with doing this, it's because I'm used to doing it like this. But I'm trying to give you like the very like clear basics, and not just teach you like my specific twist on things. But if you want to look up who she is, I'll actually drop it in the chat what her name is. If you are not familiar with her, so it'll pop up. That's her name. If you want to go Google her, I would recommend. Perfect. So let me try and do it the proper, the way that's going to be most consistent, actually not proper, but the way that's going to be most consistent with the rest of the alphabet that we're doing. Let me do that one now. That one's okay. I'll give myself a B for that one. So what we're looking for is that the width of the descender loop is going to be the same width as this part of the compound curve, like this right third, I guess, from where the downstroke goes. This is where the width is I'm trying to hit. Up, down, up. Here, we're crossing just below the the baseline. Yeah. If I wanted it to be better, I should have entered here. Ignore this one. Yeah, because, so what was happening here is this was too wide and this was too narrow, which made it look funny. So if I made this more narrow, and then this is the proper angle to make sure that there's some space here. Because my challenge with these ones for myself is if I don't angle it properly, I find that this looks really heavy here. So I always want to make sure that this is able to breathe a little bit, because otherwise it just looks like it's very tight and squished. Okay, so now we're going to do all these babies again. I'll do them a little faster, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to do them with my pointed pen so you can see a little bit better the manipulation versus just with a marker. While I'm getting that ready, how's everyone doing? Hopefully okay. Sorry guys, smacked my mic. Okay, I'll be 2 more seconds. And let me open up my walnut ink. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to go right back over. All right, let's do the eye. So that's better. So I had mentioned last time, I'm not the best at doing the squared off tops on the top here. I try my best. I'm better at doing them on the baseline versus in the waistline, but yeah, we're going up. We're going to square this off, go down, and this is so entry stroke, and then underturn, and then we're dotting the eye about 1/3 of the way up in the ascender height. Let me do that one more time. And the dot of the I should be about the width of the downstroke that's here. Now we're going to do a T. So entry stroke up to the waistline. About halfway up, we're going to press down and do the underturn. I'm going to go and square this baby off, and then I'm going to cross the T at about the same height as the dot of the I. Let's do that one more time. There we go. Kind of looks like a little top hat. Isn't that fun? All right, now we're going to do J. So that was entry stroke, and then down to the descender loop. I am turning. I'm starting to lift about here, and then so by the time I hit the apex of the oval here, I'm already at a hairline. I'm turning, I'm coming back, I'm crossing right below the baseline. And I don't know if you noticed, I realized I did it as I was doing it. I lifted a little to skip dragging too much ink through, and then I pulled up into the exit stroke that was here. So it's still got a little bit of ink, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let me do it one more time. So I lifted, and you can also go back in and just connect that if you want to. But entry stroke, descender loop, I'm looking to see that this width here is the same as here to make it consistent. And I'm crossing right just like a hairline below the baseline. And then I'm dotting about the same width as the actual downstroke itself. Now we're going to go to the A. So entry, oval, up and around, and then we're going to do the underturn. So this is a little too narrow, but for these purposes, I'll do one more. Let's see if I can get it a little bit better. Which one's better? They all have their pros and their cons. So entry stroke, oval, underturn. To have made this one better, I should have kicked the underturn out a little bit more, like here. If I was going to match my entry stroke here. This is sometimes the challenge when you're practicing letters not attached to any other letters. We'll get into them when we get into words, but this is why this can be hard, is because when you just studying them in solitary, this is sometimes something that can happen, is that I just kind of get into a rhythm of the entry stroke, and by the time I go here, like, because I'm not connecting to another letter, I just I'll go up a little too quickly. which is why this is more now, like this space here is more narrow than here. It should be, I should have done the exit stroke a little bit wider. And that, but it's not too bad because at least this triangle here and this triangle here are about the same. Whereas this one is way out there, which means this triangle is huge versus this tiny one here. And same thing with this guy. Plus my oval's not very good because it's flattened out on the top up here. But yeah, like I said, like it's just paper and ink. And it's fine to not be perfect. At the end of the day, like you're just trying to, just improve as much as you can. You only have yourself to compare against, right? All right, that one is a little better. But I think my entry stroke is just a bit too long. Yeah, I'm also, I think, I'm having some issues with my ovals today. This was happening when I was fiddling before our stream as well. Let's see if I can do a couple of ovals, get them out of my system that I know I can do them. The A's are not my best today, and that's all right. I don't want to harp on it. Let me try one more time. Let's see if I can get a good. No, not meant to be today. The ones with the marker was a bit of a better example. So yeah, it's just but you understand the concept though, which is entry stroke, oval, and then underturn. All right, now we're gonna go for the D. I promise that I won't do another 15 Ds. And every time I say that, I can't help but want to chuckle, like because I have the humor of a 10-year-old little boy. It's fine. So, entry stroke, oval, and then underturn again. But like the T, we're about halfway up in the ascender height. So I'm always trying to make sure that they're squared off if I can. We're doing entry stroke, oval, underturn, but from the halfway point between the ascender and the waistline, more or less. Now we're going to do G. So very similar to the J, entry stroke, oval. And then we are doing the descender loop. So starting from the waistline, pulling all the way down, curving, and then crossing just underneath the baseline. Right here. The width of this puppy is the same width as the oval in the G. That's what we're aiming for. Do that one more time. Ooh, not as good. I'm gonna say that I did that on purpose so I can show you, but no, it definitely wasn't on purpose. This was by accident. Um, this is too narrow, and I didn't even hit the oval over here, so this is not a good one. At least this is better, but yeah, it's not, it is honestly sometimes hard because I'm not at a very good angle to look at it because my mic is in the way, but I also want to make sure you guys hear me. But the first one I did was actually the best one. So entry stroke, oval, decenter loop, this width same as this guy here, and then this should be squared off. Also, I have to remind myself and you guys, I'm also working like fairly small. Well, I mean, 6 millimeters is kind of big for doing this, but in general, no one is really looking at your work up here. Most people maybe look at it like at around probably like that, or yeah, like at about that. That's probably when people are gonna be looking at your work. So me being so nitpicky, whoops, that was I accidentally turned the brightness down. Sorry about that. Come on. There we go. Sorry. There we go. So yeah, so me like doing this and looking at it under, basically under a microscope is not like how most people look at your work. This is just because we're being very specific today. No one is gonna, no one's really gonna notice that stuff, especially if you're just like practicing. It's practice sheets. There is no stress. All right, let's do the letter N, which is an overturn plus another overturn. Or sorry, overturn and then into a compound curve. So overturn, up, and then compound curve. So we're looking for this, this, and this to be the same width. So up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. So you'll see that there's a space here. This is actually a bit of a too big of a space for me specifically. Because I find if I pull from up here and I do this, it becomes really a heavy blob right here. There we go. Up, down, and up. I think actually, yeah, I think this one was actually, even though there's a bit of a blob here, I think this one might be the most consistent of the ones I just did. So overturn, compound curve. We're looking for the same width, and then we're looking, and it'll be actually easier to see with the M, which is coming right up, which is overturn, overturn, and then compound curve. Overturn, overturn, compound curve. So do you see the space? Am I zoomed in all the way? Here we go. This is the space that I'm trying to aim for all the time. This is too wide. This is too far away from me. This feels like they're not connected. They're not talking to each other. That's what I'm aiming for, which is why I'm quiet while I'm doing it, because I'm just like, come on, Erin, you can do it. I just wanted to show at least one that was done the way that I'm trying to, which is this guy right here. So it's not connected, but it's very close. This is to avoid like the heaviness that's right here. So when you look quickly, it does look attached, but when you look deeper, it's not. It's just a small space. If this is hard, because it is, this is difficult, you can do an M in a different way, which is like this. And instead of connecting from down here, you can just connect from up here. So you're connecting from up around the halfway point-ish. You can do this as well. And with the same with the N. Where you could start it up here. You can do that too. All right, let's move on to the U. Move that away. So entry stroke, underturn, and then another underturn. Oh, that was totally off camera. Entry stroke, underturn, underturn. Entry stroke, underturn, underturn. We're looking for the squared off tops. We're looking to hopefully see that the triangles that exist here are as even as possible. And we're looking that the entry stroke and the exit stroke here, we're hoping that these are parallel. And our last letter of today is going to be the letter Y. So we're going for a compound curve. And then like the G and like the J, we're doing the descender loop all the way back up. This is better than this one, because this wasn't wide enough. So compound curve. Descender loop, crossing. Hopefully this one I crossed too high, but it should have been a little lower. Then the baseline. Compound curve. Oof, I'm so not practiced with this one. I just want to do this. My muscle memory wants me to do this so bad. It's so hard for me to not do this. So those are all the letters for letter group 1. If you want to do homework, okay, now that you know these ones, I'm going to be very embarrassed because I don't know if I'll be able to do this well. But if you want to do homework, if you want to submit this in the Discord, in that private channel, that is for this specifically, you can feel free to. Well, first of all, you can submit if you want to do like a page of the letter group 1, like no more than a page, but just try and do like specific practice on doing these particular letters. And then you can just like scan it or take a photo of it or whatever and send it to me in the Discord, which is on my Instagram and my link in my bio. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be in the description below the video. I will link directly to that Discord. There's a private channel in there. You just have to DM me specifically to ask me to add you in it because it's a private one. You can submit if you'd like a page of these letter groups so I can give you some feedback as or the best feedback I can. And you can try and write the word minimum. It's such a popular word. It's because it's hard. It's hard to do. You can even do it all in pencil if you want. If you feel like that would be a little easier for you. Um, but it's a fun challenge. It's a hard one though, and I'm gonna try and do it myself. We'll see. We'll see if I can do this properly. Didn't totally suck, but it's not the best. So if you can try doing this, because if you can try doing this on your own before I show you how to do the connections of the letters, it's going to be kind of cool because you'll see how when you're doing a compound curve, you're doing up and over, and the exit stroke is actually the entry stroke for the next letter. If you want to give yourself a challenge, you can feel free to try this guy. If not, a page of letter group 1, totally also acceptable. Ta-da! I'm proud I was able to do that without completely misspelling it totally. Um, it could be written better, but I'm not mad at it, so that's always fun. Okay, so I think I am. That's basically it. Like I mentioned, if you want to do homework and you want me to correct stuff for you guys, no problem. I will be accepting homework, I guess, or work for critique, I suppose, for me to do that until 1 month after the last class, which is on March the what was it? I had written it down, which is on March 4th. So just so if people want it, or a day late or something, or if like they watch everything like later or whatever, I'll give you a month after the last class to submit stuff for me to take a look at and give you feedback on. So it would be till I guess April 5th, because the last one will be March 5th. But I think, let me swipper swap to this guy. Does anyone have any questions, comments, any pressing questions they absolutely want to ask me? Because we're done letter group 1. Actually, so we've done the basic strokes. We know how to warm up. We've gone through some tools. We've now finished letter group 1, and we're doing well. We're doing good. Next week, the next class is going to be February 4th, which is Sunday. It's going to be Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitch again. We're going to be doing letter group 2, which are the looped letters, the ones that are on the ascender looped. So L, H, K, and then E, which is also technically a little looped letter. We're gonna be doing that one on Sunday. So it's not going to be a 2-hour class. It's going to be probably take about half the time, because it's only 4 letters. And then I can go through letter group 1 again if we want, if anyone has questions on that. But for now, I think we are good for the evening. If you guys have any questions, I am on Instagram. The easiest way to get a hold of me, though, is because sometimes DMs I'm not super. I don't have my notifications on Instagram, because otherwise I get sucked into things and I don't do any other work. I'm on Instagram too often. So I don't have my notifications on for that one, but I do have them on for Discord. So if you want to, like I said, you want to join that like specific private channel for this particular workshop, you just have to DM me and I can let you in, not a problem. The link of that is either, if you're live here on Twitch right now, if you go onto my Instagram bio, the link in bio, you'll see I have a Calligraphy community Discord group. Click right in there, you can get in. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. Oh, good. You're super welcome. I am happy to be here and help. I also I can't wait to see your practice. So if you want to submit that, that would be super duper. Be really fun. Cool. I will bid you guys a good evening. At least it's a good evening for me. It's 8:30 at night. And I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to try and upload this to YouTube as fast as possible. So hopefully in the morning it'll be up, because it does have to take time to buffer and do whatever YouTube does and all that kind of stuff. So enjoy the rest of your evening, day, whatever time it is for you guys. But thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Bye.